lovely people, Nina here. So this month so far in June I've read 3 different books. I still have a few that I'm planning on finishing, and June is not even, we have like 2 weeks left or something, or not even a week, something like that. So June is nearly over, but I still plan on finishing a few in the month, but I figured I would review 3 so far that I've read to not have a super duper long video. But I listened to 1 audiobook and then read 2 physical books, and I figured I would just review them today. So the first one I listened to, and I only listened to the audiobook of this, was Booklovers by Emily Henry, and it follows the main character Nora, who is a book agent, literary agent, and her like enemy, I guess rival, I don't know what you call him, colleague, but like not, they don't get along, and he is a book editor, and they meet in New York because they're both in the same like career field, and then Nora ends up going to this tiny little town to go on like a vacation with her sister because her sister was like, we need to get away, and she's like, I need a break from my kids, blah 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 blah. So they go to this tiny town, and it ends up being the town where her arch rival book editor guy is. The main focus of the story though is the relationship between the 2 sisters, which that part of the book I thought was really cute, and that was like probably the strongest part of the book, was the relationship, like the family dynamic between the 2 sisters and the loss of their mom and like how they deal with all of that. That part was really cute. The part that I didn't really like, I thought the characters were kind of flat in this one, and I didn't really like the storyline as much as her other ones. It just felt flat and like kind of boring, from my personal point of view and perspective. I just didn't love it. One could say I wasn't a book lover. I'm sorry. Yeah, it just wasn't for me. Also, there were like parts of it that just weren't like realistic, that felt like it didn't, I don't know. When she talks about like how she got her job, she's like in New York at this massive publishing agency. She was just like, I worked really hard and I got this job, and it's kind of like, okay. It was just like, and not really believable. Also, she's like, I work in publishing and I have this like $1 billion New York house. I don't know. Some of it just wasn't believable, and I was reading and I was kind of like, okay. So it just wasn't for me. I didn't like that one, and it was a struggle to get through. Yeah, that one. Her other 2 that I read Beach Read and People Meet on Vacation. Those were better, in my humble opinion. I thought they were cuter, a little bit better. Book lovers just didn't like that one. The next one that I read that I did love was If I Must Die, which is poetry and prose by Rafat Al-Arir. This one I started, and I listened to the audiobook from the library, and then I loved it so much that recently when we were on a road trip, I finished reading it and I bought it at a little local bookstore. This is poetry by Rafat Al-Arir, who is a Palestinian English teacher who was killed by an Israeli airstrike and murdered. And this is his poetry about Palestine and Gaza, and it is so good but so heartbreaking. And he writes about how like maybe if he can write about it and write about what's really happening, that the US will see this and care. And just knowing what's happening right now, how there's not been a ceasefire, and it's just horrendous. This was a really hard read, but also very beautifully well done and very amazing, and I feel like this should be read by like everyone, especially being an American and knowing that the US is helping fund this genocide is really awful and hard to like sit with, and so I feel like we need to be reading about it and talking about it, and be standing against it. So I would really recommend this. It is very, very beautifully well done. His most probably famous poem that was circling the internet is called If I Must Die, and I've read it here before on my channel on one of my videos. I can link it below, but that was this one. Again, very well done. This one I haven't cracked the spine on yet, though. It's in very nice condition because like I said, I literally just got this, and I listened to the audiobook from the library and I was like, this is so beautiful and so sad, and I want to own a physical copy. And so I got a physical copy so I can refer back to it and not have to wait in the library line. So that's this one. And then the last one that I literally just finished is Martyr by Kaveh Akbar. And holy moly, this is literally by far like one of my favorite books that I've read this year. I feel like I've said that before, but like, honest to God, this book is so amazing, and I don't even know how to describe it. It's so beautifully well done. What I didn't know is that he is a poet until after I looked him up after I read this, and it makes so much sense because this book is just so lyrically beautiful, and I read this and I was like, I'm never going to be able to write ever again. I can never write because nothing can compare to this. Like, it's so beautifully written, and it was amazing. It follows the main character, Cyrus, and the idea of him wanting to be a martyr, and the idea and the concept of death and what our life on earth means, and if the meaning of what happens and what happens after we all die, and our purpose of life and the meaning. And it's just like, it's one of those where you read it and you're like pulled in. It reads like a movie, and it's so well done that I didn't want to put it down, and I don't even have words. It is a National Book Award finalist. I was telling my mom, this is her copy, I was telling my mom about this, and I was like, she hasn't read it yet, and I borrowed it before she read it, but I was like, you're gonna need to read this, you'll love it. And I was like, why? This should have won the National Book Award, why did it not win? And then I looked it up and realized that James came out the same year as this one, and James won, and I was like, so it's two amazing novels competing. But this, I was writing, I was like, oh, I can write down quotes to share. Literally every single page I was like, well, there's that one. On page, I don't want to spoil anything. Okay, this is just an example of everything. I can't even, it was just so good. But this is some of the writing. He says, he's describing his appearance, and he says, a wrinkly tan t-shirt with a pocket over the left breast, dark black curls, thin gray denim pants, well worn, dirty blue canvas sneakers. He was skinny in a scrawny way, not like a runner, but like a mathematician who forgets to eat. That is, that's not even, that's just a teeny tiny little line. That's not even it's an amazing line, but some of the other ones I can't say without spoiling the whole book. But I was just in awe of this writing and how beautifully well done it was, and I understand the hype. When books are really talked about and talked up and everyone has just been reading them, I get nervous to read them because I'm very critical and very picky about what I read. For example, Remarkably Bright Creatures, very hyped up book, very talked about book. I don't like it. Emily Henry's Booklovers, very talked about, very hyped up, did not like it. So I get very nervous about reading books that everyone's like, this is the best thing you'll ever read. When I tell you this is like probably one of the best things you'll ever read, it's amazing. And yeah, I literally can't say enough amazing things about this. It's just so, so good. Yeah, easily going to be one of my favorite books of the year. And I will probably read it again. Did it also make me cry and feel like that's like how I can describe it? Yes. So maybe in like 2 years' time I'm gonna go back to this. But yeah. So that is all I've read so far this month. If I Must Die, Booklovers, and then Martyr. Honestly, all like very sad reads. I'm now realizing. Yeah, they're all like pretty sad. So that's been, feel like I'm reading based on how the world's going right now, and it's tough out there. So yeah, if you've read any of these books, let me know down below in the comments. I would love to know that. And if you have any book suggestions, leave them for me down in the comments below. I love book suggestions, and I love to see what everyone's reading. And yeah, if you're new here, welcome. I have a few new subscribers, so hello, welcome. I like to talk about books and occasionally my writing when it's not stressing me out. So yeah, that is all for this week's video. I love you all. As always, free Palestine. Bye!